Woo. Oh, this 30-day challenge is it's getting to me a little bit, but I'm sticking in here, guys. All right, I'm sticking in here. I haven't missed a day yet. Not yet. Don't jinx me. Okay, Dallas Mavericks off-season review. So they drafted quite a lot of players. Most notably, they traded up to get Luka Doncic, the 3rd overall selection in the 2018 draft. Now, to trade up 2 spots, they in return gave up their 2019 pick, which is protected 1 through 5. They also drafted Jalen Brunson with the 33rd overall selection. And in free agency, they signed DeAndre Jordan to a 1-year, $22.8 million contract. They got Devin Harris back. They lost Seth Curry to the Portland Trailblazers. They lost Doug McDermott to the Indiana Pacers. And Yogi Ferrell, perhaps most surprisingly out of all these people, signed with the Sacramento Kings. First off, how funny is it that DeAndre Jordan ended up back with the Mavs? It's like staying with someone after they've cheated on you. It's like, well, commendable that you have such a big heart, but is that such a great idea? All jokes aside, the signing is pretty good as Dallas really needed a center, and DeAndre Jordan fits really well into the roster as a whole. He's a great pick and roll target for Dennis Smith Jr. to get some reps with, and Dallas actually has the right power forwards to complement him, whether that be Dirk or Harrison Barnes. Because you guys remember in LA, right? I think one of the biggest reasons as to why the kind of Chris Paul, Blake Griffin era kind of failed is that, well, Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan, while they're individually great players, they're not the greatest fit together. And whenever Blake Griffin would go on with an injury, you would see how DeAndre Jordan would just absolutely take off. I think one major factor is that DeAndre Jordan works better when there's a power forward next to him that can really space the floor. Bringing back Devin Harris was also very nice, but losing Seth Curry and Yogi Ferrell is pretty tough. With Seth Curry, I'm guessing that Dallas was concerned about his injury issues, which totally understandable. With Yogi Ferrell, it's a little more difficult to understand. Ferrell initially agreed to 2 years and $5 million with Dallas, and then later changed his mind, almost a la DeAndre Jordan style, and signed 2 years, $6 million with Sacramento. Now, Ferrell himself says that this is because he thinks Sacramento's play style will fit him better. I'm not quite sure what he means by this. The only thing that would make sense is that Sacramento is earlier in the rebuilding stage than Dallas is, and their roster as a whole is younger. But play style wise, if you're just talking about like on the court, if Yogi Ferrell thinks he's going to be in a better situation in Sacramento than in Dallas, I think he's kind of out of his mind. Let's talk draft picks. So the big one is Luka Doncic, who they traded up 2 spots to grab at number 3. Almost everybody I know thought that this was a good move, and I concur. I mean, Dallas has a chance to grab potentially the best player in the draft who also plays the right position. You know, Luka Doncic has been talked about so much and analyzed so thoroughly that I don't think I have much to say that hasn't already been said. So if you want to get a feel for Luka Doncic's play style and why people think he's so good, just go check out Coach Nick's video over at Beat Ball Breakdown. I will, however, talk a little bit about Jalen Brunson, the 33rd overall pick. I like talking about second round picks. You might have noticed in this season preview series so far. Okay, I like talking about second round picks and late first rounders because nobody else talks about them. So I get to tell you something new. I get to tell you something about something that you're not going to see on ESPN. Okay, so there's actually a lot of hype around this guy, Jalen Brunson, because he was National Player of the Year last year as a junior, and he's won 2 championships in his 3 years at Villanova. Very well-rounded player offensively, can handle the ball, can shoot, has a lot of confidence in making plays, is very physical when he drives to the rim, has pretty good size for a guard at 6'2", 6'3"-ish. The reason though why he wasn't picked higher is because 1, he did play 3 years in college, that's a little bit of a knock. 2, he's an average athlete at best. I mean, you're not going to see crazy quickness or explosiveness from him, so you do kind of wonder what his ceiling is. And 3, his defense does need a lot of work, especially at the NBA level. But still, I mean, for an early second round pick, I think it's a nice addition, especially given that the Mavs lost 2 guards this offseason, so they could use a sort of more polished guard to even just shore up their rotation a little bit. Overall, I'm giving the Mavs an offseason grade of a B+. Here's their projected roster. I am interested to see when Luka Doncic will be inserted into the starting lineup. I'm assuming he's not going to start at the beginning of the season. I could be wrong, but I think that's not going to happen yet. Dennis Smith Jr., Harrison Barnes, and DeAndre Jordan, I think are absolute locks for the starting lineup if they're healthy. Wesley Matthews is still definitely a starting caliber player, no doubt, but it's not out of the question for him to come off the bench and for Doncic to start. What I think the Mavs will actually do though is they'll kind of have this starting lineup as I show it in the projected roster. So they'll still have Dirk in the starting lineup, but as more of like a respect thing than an actual utility thing. So they'll have Dirk start. He'll get all the announcements at the beginning of the game, but then they'll just get him off the court during the first timeout and have Doncic sub in. So, you'll kind of have Harrison Barnes at the 4, which is where I think Harrison Barnes is best at anyways. And then you'll have Matthews and Doncic on the wing. But then again, I mean, in crunch time, when Dallas is really trying to win, I think they'll have to put Dirk back in the lineup. So we'll see how they work out with their crunch time stuff. Vegas odds has Dallas winning 34.5 games. Now here's the thing, Dallas only won 24 games last year. This is a tough decision because they definitely got better, but 11 games better? It's hard to say. Dallas struggled a lot with rebounding and rim protection last year, and DeAndre Jordan is about as good a fix to that issue as you can ask for. So I could talk myself into going over here. But then there's also the issue of Dallas's offense, which was the 3rd worst offense in the league last year, with Dennis Smith Jr. as one of the most inefficient players in the league. A lot rests on how he develops, obviously, and what Luka can do as a rookie. But if I'm going to be honest with myself, I think I'm going to take the under. I think there'll be a low 30s win team in this competitive Western Conference. Okay, that's it for the Dallas Mavericks. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the other teams. In the meantime, if you disagree or agree with any of my over-unders on these Vegas odds, feel free to comment down below. You can also hit me up on Twitter. Maybe we'll have a nice exchange on Twitter because, people are always very nice on Twitter, right? Nobody's mad at anyone on Twitter. Anyways, I'll see you bastards next time. Peace.